Hi everyone. What do you prefer? Do you prefer to create reports for your customers, your clients? Or do you prefer to spend time working on security tools, using your brain in creative ways to break into systems, to find vulnerabilities, to exploit them? Well, I'm sure it's the second, it's the more fun part. And Reconmap is a tool or a product platform that can help you and your team, security team, work more efficiently. So, and reduces the burden of creating reports and creating project templates and so on. So it's a fairly popular project hosted on GitHub, Apache 2 license, and yeah, it's also fairly complex compared to other tools that we have looked on this channel. So it has different components. So a key cloak is the authorization server. You have a Redis cache, MySQL. You have RabbitMQ and C# API, Golang, CLI, and so on. But I think it's worth it. So let's start cloning the project to see how it works. Git clone, and once it's cloned, because I cloned this before, I'm going to make sure I have all the latest images. I'm also going to make sure I don't have anything lingering from previous installations. Okay, no volume. Good. Okay, so all you need to do is docker compose app, and that will create all the images or the containers. Sorry. If you pass the -d flag, it's going to run on detach mode in the background, but I want to do it in the foreground so I can see all the logs. Okay, while this loads, it's going to take a few minutes because it needs to again create all the database, all the key cloak, and all the things as well. So while that happens, I'm going to go to reconmap.com, which has the documentation. So you have information on how to set it up, information on how to extend it or develop it more, some information on how to use it, so from a user standpoint as well. Okay, let's go back now and see what's going on. Now it's Keycloak doing a lot of work. This is a Java application, it's a bit heavy and takes a few minutes to boot. But once that's done, we should be able to go to the browser, localhost 5500, and log in. Okay. Okay, that should be working now. Localhost 5500. The application redirects to Keycloak login page, admin 123. Super. Complex password. Don't use it. Okay, and this is the main dashboard. There's not much to see here because it's an empty project, empty application. So the first thing we're going to do is create organizations. There is one created by default, but I'm going to create new ones. Service provider, my security company. I'm going to create an account organization for my customer, my cool customer. Okay, for this customer, I can also create contacts. I can send the reports to these people, or I can raise vulnerabilities to these people after. So, I don't know, John, CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, CISO at company.com. Okay, I can create more, but I leave it there. Then I'm going to create a project. Again, there's one created with some onboarding task, but I'm going to create my first one here, which is, let's say, it's a penetration testing project. You can have others. And Pentest is the name. Service provider is my security company. So that's your team. And the client is my cool customer. There are other things that I can complete here, but I'm going to keep it simple because there is a lot to show you. Okay, so that's the project. The task, imagine, say, scan ports, or you can say check security headers. And once you have the task, you can assign them to somebody in your team. But these people in your team or yourself are going to execute commands. So let's create those commands. Nmap is already created, but then there's the concept of usages. If nmap is the command, usages are the different flags that you can pass to the command. So I'm going to create one, and I have here different examples. So for nmap, I'm going to use this. I'm going to call it JSON scan. The executable is just nmap, and the command line is that. And netfo.com is the domain, and here is hard-coded, but you can also add placeholders with a special syntax, and the placeholder will ask the user for more information for the actual value. Then, when the tool runs the command, it can capture the output from the standard output or from a file, if this saves to a file. But I'm going to use a standard output, and I'm also going to use the nmap parser. Okay, that's the first one. Let's create the second command, and this is going to be subfinder. Just to do it quickly, let's say check as well, the security headers check. Okay, so for the security headers check, I'm going to use this usage. Also call it JSON to keep it simple. The flags, standard output, and this is SA check. One more, bear with me. Subfinder. Okay, and this is something that you will do once. You add all the commands that you rely on, that you use once, and then you can reuse it as many times as you need, of course. JSON, and you can also import commands that have been published by the Reconmap team, so you don't need to do it all the time or from scratch. Okay, enough. 3 commands. How to run them now? Because you want to run the commands and you want the findings to be added to your project. So let's see nmap. You have the usages, and then you have run instructions. So okay, what are the instructions? Fill in the arguments. There's nothing to fill in because there are no placeholders in the command that I pasted earlier. So let's jump straight to the run configuration. So you can discard the findings, which is not very useful, or you can save them to a project. So I'm going to save them to the pentest project. I want to run this command once. You can also run it on a schedule using a cron expression. And you can run it in the browser, and this will open a terminal in your Firefox, Chrome, Edge, whatever you use. But this relies on an agent. That's one thing that I'm going to cover in a different video. And then you can also run it in the command line. So to run it in the command line directly, you need the rmap command. So where is it? Well, there is a link here, you can see. Links to GitHub. But this is also in the repository that we clone. Under the CLI, you can see the runner. That's what we are looking for. Agent is what you need if you want to run commands in the, say, you put a machine in the cloud or in your internal network, and you want the commands to run at the click of a button from this user interface. But if you want to run it on demand, you can build this. You need to have Golang installed. I'm going to run, and that's rmap created. So first, you need to have the config. Okay, the config already exists, so I'm going to remove it so you see how it works. Okay, perfect. It created a config with the default settings, so you need to adjust them to your environment. So it's where keycloak is, where the API is. Then you can do login. And login is going to give you a code and a URL. So you click, this is keycloak. We're going to paste the command, yes. And give it a second. Perfect. We have login. Now I can run the command. So it took a few steps, but again, you don't need to do this every time. So the configuration you need to do only once. building the command you need to do only once, or you can download it from the web as well. Okay, let's run the command. It's running nmap on where? netfo.com, so it's going to take a while, well, maybe 10 seconds. I don't expect too many ports to be open, but you can see after that finish, immediately after that finish, there was a push notification to the web application saying new assets found. So if I go to the project, pentest, assets, okay, found an IP. Not very useful. Anything else? Let me see. Clearing the cache. Okay, only that. What else can we do? We can run the other commands, of course. The other commands, subfinder for instance, run instructions the same. They should be simpler now. I want to save to a project, pentest project once, and the command line. So go here. I run our map passing these arguments, and okay, another notification. New asset found thanks to subfinder. So is it going to be more interesting this time? Let's see. Findings. I think sometimes the cache makes things not show. Okay, yeah, I can see it now. So these are the subdomains that were found by subfinder, and you can of course run more commands on that subdomain if you want to. But let's do the last command, which is security headers check. Okay, same. Once that project and on the desktop. Okay, whoa, that was quick because it's pointing to localhost. So let's do the same one more time. So you can see the alerts at the top. So here is saying 9 new findings have been found by the security check. If I go to the project, and this is now starting to populate, you can even see the vulnerabilities, missing headers. That was just now created. Go to the project, pentest, findings, and you have them there. Now, another cool part, if it works, let's see. Remediation, you can, so this is the vulnerability. It doesn't say much, just a description. Remediation will run Olama in the background to generate a recommendation. So if we again clear the cache just in case. That was super quick. I don't know if it's really working or not. Yeah, you can see that was Olama generating the remediation steps in the background. That's simply amazing. And it's running locally on my machine because I have Olama. You can see job completed, vulnerability remediation instructions have been generated. Okay, so the last part for this presentation is the report. So if I go here, report, well, this is a ugly preview, but I can create also Word version. So report, for instance. Okay, that's the PDF. Sorry, not the PDF, the Word document. And yeah, penetration test report for pentest. That's the name of the project, that's the name of the customer, the company we created, the date, and you should see a few things in here. Some placeholders that haven't been populated, there's no enough information. Some of the subdomains that were found. What else? The vulnerabilities and so on. So you can personalize that template, and you can also generate reports in HTML, Markdown, LaTeX, and Typist, which is the latest authoring tool, which is super cool. And that's it for today. In another video, I can show you how to install the agent. So you can run commands in the background. You need to copy and paste into the terminal and wait for them to finish, anything like that. So the agent runs all the command in the background. You can have a Kali machine, you can have a Windows machine, you can have a Mac OS machine running commands for you, which simplifies and streamlines the penetration testing project. Thank you very much. Until the next one. Bye-bye.